China's crackdown on its own tech companies is spreading. Two of China's largest tech companies, Tencent and Alibaba, are down sharply. You see the numbers on the screen for a second straight day. Tencent's WeChat service has suspended new registrations so it comply with relevant regulations. The turmoil's rattling markets in Hong Kong and mainland China. You'll see very sharp losses in Hong Kong specifically, over 4%. The Hang Seng is down nearly 13% this month. Silvercrest's Patrick Chovanec is with us now. We've talked a lot about this, Patrick, but we don't understand what the Chinese government is up to when seemingly they're throttling their own big companies.
This is a political crackdown. This is not a regulatory crackdown. Regulation might be the vehicle, the device, but this is really about the Communist Party under Xi extending its grip over the economy. And in many ways, this represents a 180-degree shift from when Xi came into power back in 2013. The promises made was that there was going to be market reform. Markets responded very positively to that. They've been moving inch by inch away from that, and now we really see a solidification of the opposite of that.
And yet, you know, I always think of the Chinese thinking 50 years, 100 years ahead, whilst we're all concerned with the latest financial quarter. I know you don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think that the Chinese make things up as they go along, just like we do. And in the recent past, you know, Xi's priority has been political control. And in the past year, especially, given COVID, given the isolation, the separation from the rest of the global economy, they've pushed on a number of fronts. On Hong Kong, on companies like Jack, you know, tycoons like Jack Ma, on companies that it potentially sees as a rival or a threat to the dominance of the Communist Party. And part of this is also trying to insulate the Chinese economy from the United States and from U.S. pressure. You know, I think there was a belief in China, I don't think it was right, but I think there was a belief that that the Biden administration would be more accommodating, and they're finding out that that's not really the case. And so they are now, their priority is to try to insulate the Chinese economy from U.S. pressure, and they are betting that this will have, that the collateral damage from that will be acceptable. Whether that bet proves to be the case or not really remains to be seen.
Now, you see, that's the point. One assumes they don't want to bring the house down round their ears. But if they continue to attack the big names in the market and the market starts to crack and tank, then they will be facing I mean, admittedly, they've got the funds to prop it up and they can do all sorts of things within the banking sector to massage it better. But they could be the authors of their own financial misfortune.
Right. China operates under constraints just like we operate under constraints in terms of policy making, and this pushback from the market could be one of those constraints. They have assumed so far that that would not happen or that the effects would be minimal. But, you know, a lot of people in the market right now are facing risks that they always knew existed. But they always assumed that the Chinese would not do these things, would not cross these lines because it was not in Chinese interest. And what's turning out to be the case is that the Chinese, or at least Xi, the decision maker, has a different perception of interest than perhaps people in the market assume.
So Patrick, when will we know it's over? When will we know that internal peace between China's big companies and its own government has been reached?
I don't think it's ever over. You know, when we know the trade war is over. This is an ongoing process in which there are geopolitics involved, perceptions of the challenges or threats that China presents. You know, there are more issues on the table here. All of this, the crackdown domestically in China, casts a long shadow over Chinese companies that are listed in the United States. Because remember, Congress passed a law recently that requires China to come to the table and negotiate a solution within 3 years. And instead of doing that, it looks like China is digging in its heels and it's actually embracing decoupling. So, you know, that threat is out there, which a lot of investors hope might be resolved in the next 3 years. But the recent signals are that China seems to be moving in a direction that may not lead to the resolution that they hope for.
Good to see you, Patrick. We'll talk more as this develops. Thank you, sir.